Okay. If not, you can just write the questions as I'm talking. So today is a fun talk. It's about fear and cryptocurrency, which is really just about fear, because cryptocurrency just falls within the domain of life like anything else. But, particularly, I think this is a good thing to cover when the market is going down or sideways, and who knows, it could be going up soon. But I think when your money or Bitcoin or whatever you're measuring in starts to go down or sideways or whatever it is, who knows? Maybe it's just not going up as fast as you want it to. Fear can creep in. And I think the most important thing to remember in all of this is that you've probably already, if you're listening to this and you're in the crypto space already, you've probably already taken some degree of risk. And when you take risk, you have to do risk reward ratio in your mind. You have to analyze it. Some people just carelessly jump, and that can lead to profits too. But even those people who seemingly are carelessly jumping are still doing something internally, typically, to gauge whether this is worthwhile. Even the most careless of people don't just, impale themselves with spikes in the face and kill themselves because it seems fun. They have a little part of their brain that says, nah, you don't want to do that. So if you've gotten to this point, that means you've probably internally dealt with at least a few fear thresholds or barriers, I call them. And this is something that I think is really important. I think initially and you see it all the time. Now, I don't know if anyone is following crypto Twitter after the talk I gave, but it's really fractured into this quite a divisive place, which isn't surprising. It's like anything else, especially when we're throwing money into the mix. It's become a very weird place, but people are very combative and getting hypersensitive to what's going on. And a lot of these egos are flaring, which is a clear sign that fear is typically involved. You're trying to prove something. You're trying to cling to your identity of knowing something before people, whatever it is. So if you can start looking at these things through the lens of how do I mitigate fear and how do I kind of make sure that I'm confident in what I'm doing, this becomes a very good tool, not just for doing well in the market, but doing well in life and making sure that if you're doing well in the market, you're not sacrificing your sanity for it, right? So again, let's go to a major fear barrier that a lot of people have. Is this a scam? Is this because it's highly volatile? Is it something that I should be wary of? And these are all really good questions. If you're not asking those questions, I think you're going to be disappointed in the space. The more client work I do, the more I do this for myself. One of the wonderful things about decentralization and the potentiality of, cryptocurrencies kind of eliminating middlemen, which I think is a very awesome thing, whether it's the central government or banking institution or anything else, is those institutions provide some level of security for us. So we can't be foolish enough to just dismiss that. We're not dumb to the point, well, we're close to it, but we don't just usually give our money to people with no benefit for us. So the benefit for us is if we're working with a traditional banking institution is our money is pretty much safe. It's insured. If Capital One goes out of business, Bank of America goes out of business, something horrible happens, the government, they're insured. I don't know the true economics behind it, but we are knowing that unless the entire financial system collapses, we are pretty much going to get our money back. Like if someone takes your card, gets your number and starts charging up a bunch of things, you're not on the hook for that. So that's a service they're providing. So when we shift this to ourselves, all of that responsibility, or usually a large degree of it, unless we're using like a third-party application or something, which is seeding trust, then it all kind of falls on us. So in order to feel comfortable and confident in doing a lot of these things, we need to mitigate our fears. We need to make sure that this isn't something that's just foolish, and we want to be sure that we kind of know what we're doing. So the deeper you kind of plunge into that, and I think this is just a good life skill. If you're curious about it and interested and think there's something to investigate there, if you pursue that, that can oftentimes lead to very rewarding things, whether financial or otherwise. So this is critical when we're looking at areas to expand or refine or optimize areas of what we're trying to do in this space. So fear, again, my original point is when, stuff is getting tighter, it's not working the way it used to. Why isn't it December and November? When's alt season? Please, sir, when moon? All of these things. It's really important that if you find yourself getting worked up or stressed out or afraid that maybe this is a bubble and maybe it's only going down and it's the worst thing in the world, that's maybe a good time to take a step back, right? You don't want to get caught up in this and kind of lose yourself within this space and just make it another game for your ego to get involved in, another fear projection. I think the key is if you use this as an opportunity, and don't get angry if you're afraid, that's not a useful thing ever, but if you use it as a potential opportunity to refine your in-tuneness with the market, that can be a huge benefit. So, I mean, that's just it's not a very long talk today, and I could go, much more in depth about fears, but I mean, like another really easy example is like learning something like staking or masternodes. So like a lot of us here are in diverse, and like exactly what we said we expected to happen pretty much happened. It went from, I think at the time we started talking about 500 Satoshis to, was it 3 Satoshis today? 2? Whatever it is, it went all the way down where we did. And we're like, is this a pyramid? And who knows? The dev is in there talking about how, well, the staking pools ruined it. And then someone posted a screenshot of him saying, use these staking pools. Who knows? My point is if you followed kind of the trajectory of what we were doing, you should ideally have at least not gotten burned too bad if you were able to get your principal out without, within these several days of precipitous drops. So, but that's a fear barrier. And again, we set that thing up to potentially mitigate losing some money financially. It's to me, even if I would have lost the money, even all of it, in that thing, it would have been worth it for me to experience, okay, this is how the dynamics of this works. The next time it comes around, does it meet the criteria of this coin? Can I expect it to reliably follow the same trajectory as this one did? So you're paying kind of for a lesson there. It's the same thing potentially, if you treat it as such, as paying for an online course. So again, we also, let's say you do something, wrong and you're afraid you're going to do it again. You need to make sure that if you're afraid you're going to do it again, you're afraid for the right reasons, meaning you're going to prevent yourself from doing something that's going to bite you in the ass because you learned from last time. You don't want it to be this kind of neuroses that prevents you from taking any positive action. That often happens if we're doing high frequency or high volume of trades, is you think the thing that happened before is definitely going to happen again, and then it doesn't happen again, and then it doesn't happen again a few more times, so you think that's what's going to happen, and then you do that thing. I mean, how many people have done that? It feels like this weird game sometimes when you're entering trades, and it's like you buy it, and then it immediately goes down. Or, you sell it and then it immediately, I'm sure everyone has experienced this where it's just like, holy shit, is this literally rigged against me specifically? And to me, you can look at it 2 ways. One, I think the market is, a place that very few of us understand. 2 is, I do think that is actually meant for you to experience something. I don't think it's just some random thing. It doesn't happen all the time, hopefully. That's happening all the time. You get wiped out eventually. But those are opportunities. Those are things to learn from and try to understand why those things are happening. Or maybe you're just taking the wrong action. Maybe you shouldn't be trading that day. So you really want to look at these things. And again, fear typically is the thing that will also prevent, it's the first thing that makes someone want to say that this is a scam or it's some horrible thing. And you don't want to be delusional and just say, no, this is not a scam no matter what, but you investigate it. It's better to disprove someone who thinks that, not even if that's your intention, by actually presenting a cogent argument or case for what you're saying, rather than just, getting upset and fearful or buying into the notion, maybe it is a scam. I mean, those questions are okay if they don't lead to terror and fear, which usually clouds your judgment. Matt, you're saying, I learned so much in the staking world. If something good comes by again, I know. Yeah. I mean, me too. I don't know how much of these high APR staking coins. There's another one I found that I was looking at. It's more expensive. I don't really think I'm going to do them, but the truth is, I mean, we'll see what happens. If these things ever go to 2 Satoshis and we're used to it being at 1, meaning there are people who are willing to buy this, I don't know, that doubles your thing. Who knows? Could just be worthless I'm listening to this Ron Chernow, Alexander Hamilton biography on Audible. It's amazing, by the way. And, you know, they're talking about all the high inflation rate for all the currencies and how many different currencies they had to manage. It honestly sounds exactly like cryptocurrency. It's nuts. Luckily, we're not going and having to like blow each other up and stab people with bayonets and shit. This is a lot easier. So yeah, that's pretty much the fear in cryptocurrency. Speaking of fear in cryptocurrency, who bought VeChain expensive? Me at points. I also bought it very cheap, but also bought it very expensive. I do think we're building some steam here. I'm not saying this like we need to get back up, but I entered my trading positions. I happily did it, and now we're looking pretty good. I think these nodes are pretty awesome. I am not saying this kind of as cavalierly as I'm saying. I think if you look into them, you'll agree that they're pretty cool. Again, if you have 6,000 of them, you got about a week. Recording this on March 13th. You got a week less to get it onto a publicly snapshotable wallet so you can get your X node. And I have a feeling, I don't have any insider information. You know that. Where's CCK, by the way, right? Where's Coca-Cola Kid? But I have a feeling that VeChain, they're not dum-dums. They're good at marketing. Even when you think they're being silly, they're good at marketing. I feel like they're going to release some more stuff. They did some other stuff today, which I haven't even delved into, but another went through, I believe, DNVGL. Check it out. I think they're on the upswing. I don't mean just blindly buy this. Again, I really hope you take the signals in here or anywhere else you're getting. These are things for you to research, you know, and you want to do it so you don't get overwhelmed too. I still kind of view this as like we're squirreling away. Oh, they're for you, squirrel funds. We're squirreling away nuts now, waiting for, you know, this winter. This is a weird analogy because we're going into the spring in actuality, but we are squirreling away things, kind of waiting for them to gain in value. And when the winter comes, I'm conflating seasons here, but when the winter comes, we're going to be happy that we've done these things, you know, and have a lot of the things we're accumulating now. That's kind of how I'm taking it. I don't think you should be looking at this market as a place to be making exponential profits. You can, of course, do that if you want. A lot of people use BitMEX for leveraged betting on Bitcoin. I don't touch it. I don't like to bet on Bitcoin. I feel like I have a decent enough handle on it, but you know what? I don't really need to gamble. I'm not good at gambling. If I was good at it, I would do it. Like, I'm decent at poker, even the online stuff, but like, like that good at it. It's not worth the time. It's not that interesting. This, I think, is interesting, so it's fun to do. All right. Any questions related to fear and cryptocurrency or general stuff that's going on? Talk about some losses. Had some losses. So I'm sitting on some Raven coin. Still, I didn't pay too much more, but I'm just going to hold that. I'm going to hold it until it dies. Ride or die on Raven coin. I like it. Can't really buy it OTC that easily via Discord anymore, but you can buy it on Crypto Bridge. But I like Raven coin. Still cool. What else did I take losses on? I like to talk about losses because you gotta get it out there. You don't want to think you're just doing great all the time if you're not. I think that's the only one I really taken an L on. Oh, Monero. Yeah, Monero, I definitely didn't take a loss on that, but only because I think I bought in at like 29 and then it went up to like 34 and then I got mad and then I sold it at like 31 and I was like, fuck this. It was like a very small profit and then it really fucking tanked and I apologize for that one. Also, one note about signals that are going out, always have an idea after you buy something. I don't give you specific stop losses, primarily because I don't use stop losses. I don't go in and put in a price, and I don't do that for the main reason that I think people try to squeeze them out. I think we don't have enough money, typically, most of us, to not get squeezed out in our positions if people want to drop it to that point. And I've seen things, everyone's using Fibonacci sequences now, and Elliott waves, and all these fucking things, and I think they may work, but everyone's using them, so whales and people with a lot of money are not dumb. They know how to push something below or a support line or a retracement level. So, is the airdrop? No, the XMR, the Monero airdrop, Monero V or 5, whatever. No, I don't fuck with that. The only Monero, no, not into it. Just not into it. There's nothing real. I like Monero a lot. I love Monero. If you could buy it at these cheap prices as an entry, I don't think that's a bad idea. But let's watch for it to bottom out. Holding Monero, bought pretty low. Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. If the market I guess the point is this, is if you think Bitcoin is never going to go higher than where it's been, then I don't know, you got to be a little more cautious in this space. But if you think that it maybe hasn't hit its peak yet, then I think something like Monero is great. It's got a real use case. It's been around for a while. They got real supporters, active community, privacy, coin focus. It's good stuff. Can't really hate on Monero. The only thing I could see being a bad thing for Monero, and I think this would fall under the FUD category, is that like if governments get really strict and want to blame privacy coins for like money laundering, which could potentially happen. You know, it depends how big of a chunk they're taking out of potential tax revenue and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, you can hold stuff. I take losses. I don't want to say more than I should, but I am comfortable taking losses related to this. It doesn't feel good ever, but if you know you're moving into something like GVT, here's GVT. GVT is probably back up, right? But I was selling it on the way down from what, like 38 realistically. Where GVT at right now? It's at 31.3, right? Like I cut bait. I definitely took some losses on GVT, but I definitely had some gains, and I moved it into VE Chain today at like 44.3 to 44.6. We'll see. V Chain's kind of going up, could start going down. But at this point, I'm happy with that move. Not freaking out, kind of digging it. So, yeah, you know, you got to do what you got to do. I'm not really, no reason to be afraid of it. Okay, so that's it. Fear in cryptocurrency. We can go a lot deeper with this stuff, and I plan to at some point. But doing these off the cuff now, don't be afraid. It's the main thing. Or if you are afraid, figure out why you're afraid. It's pretty simple. Okie dokie. Let me stop streaming. Boom. See you next 2 days or something.